Mara, I want to ask you about the kids element of this, because I think all of these cats are disingenuous and it's all crap. It's all BS. It's not like drag shows just miraculously popped up out of the blue 5 years ago. This is a tradition that goes back, 100 years or whatever. But what do you do with people who I would call reasonable people, who would say like, I don't think my kid should be, my 7-year-old shouldn't be knowing about, trans stuff and all of that stuff. Like, what do you say to those people? Because they're always doing the pearl clutching about these damn kids. What do we do with these people?
Well, I would say I would do three things. I would say, first of all, you should know that like whatever concern you have is manufactured concern. It's been deliberately packaged and researched and designed for you to feel that way. So that's the first thing, to know that you're being played while you're being played, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing that I would say is that it's so interesting the way in which we deliberately, have a choice about what we decide, where we're going to draw the lines. So those same people have no compunction listening to certain songs in their car with explicit lyrics. So there are these things where we're randomly picking the places to have concern or be prudish. Children are exposed to a whole host of things. They understand and have questions about a great many things. As an adult, it's your responsibility to have the answers and to answer their curiosity with facts. And that's the way I think that we should deal with this issue. I think that as I say, the prudishness is all manufactured and is random.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about, it feels like every month they come up with a new attack. They're gonna focus on pronouns now, then they're gonna focus on drag. And I feel like, at least when it comes to what I see from politicians and as a member of the media, I feel like we're constantly just defending in this. And I'm sure that organizations like Translash are not just defending, they're being proactive. For someone like me in the media, or if you could have politicians hear you, what proactively could be done? Because we know that this war isn't going to end spontaneously in a month. They're not going to suddenly be satisfied when they permanently outlaw drag or whatever. They're going to keep going farther. What can be done proactively to fight against these attacks on rights?
Yeah, and in part the strategy of being on defense is again a part of their strategy, right? It's to introduce hundreds of bills in a short amount of time where the people who are set up to respond to this can't, right? Because it's just so many and so far reaching. So that feeling of being overwhelmed again is a part of the strategy here, and I think it's important for us to understand that. In terms of what we can do, I think that there are a great many things that we can do. I think the first thing that is really important, and I wrote an op-ed about this in Newsweek, is that we can pass the Equality Act. And the Equality Act is really important because a lot of this is fueled by the fact that trans people in the United States right now do not have equal human rights. We are not equal in the law. And one of the ways to short circuit a lot of these bills targeting us is to say that these people are equal just like all other people in the United States. And that's a great way for us to sort of undermine that. And we can begin to push that, and we can push equality acts at the state level, as well as the federal level, which would be harder. The second thing I think people should do is to make your voice heard. I mean, part of the problem here is that the people pushing these bills believe that people who are not trans don't care. And so therefore trans people are an easy mark, are an easy target. And so one of the things that you can do is when these bills come up is to make your voice heard and to make them know that you care and that you're watching. The third thing that I think that you can do is to make sure that you pay attention to very hyper local debates. Again, at school boards, where this is also increasingly a hot issue. There are trans elected people on school boards that are being chased off of them. And so I think that what you can do is begin to demand that your schools address these issues in a way that makes sense and is smart and is safe. And the last thing, of course, is always just to educate yourself around these issues and follow trusted voices like me, but so many others that can help you keep track of what's going on. But there's a lot that people can do because they think that no one cares. So if you show that you care, that's huge.
Yeah, I would love for America to surprise them with how much they care and how long they're willing to engage in this fight. Amara, it was a pleasure having you on. Thank you so much. Would love to have you back on. As you say, we should be tracking these as they come up. I would love to have you back on to do that in the future.
Anytime. Thank you so much.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.